The authors of a study at the University of Washington that tested and found widespread meth and fentanyl contamination on public transportation are now pushing back against government officials who are trying to downplay the findings of their study. Let's get to it in our segment, Unbelievable. All right, we've done a couple stories and follow-ups now on this study that was done by the University of Washington. They went to multiple public transit agencies across Western Washington and one in Portland. They did swabs of seats. They did swabs of steering wheels. They took swabs of the air, and they found, which would be a surprise to no one who's ever been on public transportation or listened to any stories about what's happening on public transportation, they found widespread drug contamination. At 100% of air samples, they found meth. 98% of surface samples, they found meth. And they also found a lot of fentanyl residue. And for any common sense person, you're like, well, that's not good. That can't be good for the people who are riding the buses. That certainly can't be good for the people who are driving the buses 40 hours a week. Yet after that study came out, even I was surprised by the level of gaslighting from the government. I'm thinking this is a study from UW. Surely King County's not going to try to spin the study from UW that had such definitive findings about the amount of contamination. But they did, and King County Metro came out and they had this like crazy tweet that was basically saying, oh, it continues to be safe for the public. I'm thinking, that's what you pulled out of that research? And it continues to get worse. So Seattle City Councilwoman Teresa Mosqueda, who is running for King County Council, by the way, so keep that in mind because she will be on ballots for King County individuals in November. She was speaking during a meeting of the Public Safety Committee in the Seattle City Council. They were talking about this new debate over a drug possession ordinance. However, she brought up this very issue, and she, like other King County government officials, is claiming that it is misinformation to suggest that widespread drug contamination on public transit is dangerous.
Many people, including today, have commented on secondhand smoke and fentanyl smoke being an example of where they felt their own physical health was in danger. I want to point to the fact that our King County Public Health Department has had a recent question and answer session with the director of the Washington Poison Control Center to dispel this myth, when in fact, secondhand fentanyl smoke, according to the King County Public Health Department, continues to show that bystanders who breathe in secondhand smoke are not physically at risk.
Oh, who would have thought bystanders who breathe in secondhand smoke from opioid use, from fentanyl, from meth, not at risk? Oh, well, I'll certainly rely on the word of a Seattle City Council member, but she does point to King County Public Health. So let's hear what public health officials had to say on the matter.
From the public health perspective, the risk is minimal to negligible, both to operators as well as riders.
Oh, well, Teresa Mosqueda, the Seattle City Councilwoman, says there's no risk. And man, King County Public Health says there's really no risk to operators and to riders. So I guess, you know, their word really matters. Who else's word would matter more? Well, how about what the authors and the researchers of the actual UW study had to say about comments that people's health is not actually in jeopardy?
It is not accurate in the perspective of the UW researchers to state that the air is safe or the transit environment is risk-free for the operators who could experience long-term chronic exposure to these drugs at work.
Yeah. Even the researchers who conducted this study are basically saying, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, King County Public Health? What are you talking about, politician Teresa Mosqueda? What are you talking about, King County Metro? Our study doesn't say that there's no risk. Their study, in fact, said, and it was very clear from the beginning, that they do not know the long-term implications of this because it was not a study that looked at the long-term implications. So no politician, no county health official has any evidence at their disposal to claim that widespread fentanyl and meth contamination on our public transportation isn't a risk. And in fact, Como News spoke to bus drivers who said they have experienced health impacts when people have been using illicit drugs on their vehicles.
I have twice been taken off the bus because of headaches, nausea, aggression.
I just know I get really, really bad headaches from this exposure.
Yeah, because that's common sense. Common sense tells us that if you're sitting in there breathing in fentanyl or meth, and it's not a drug you typically use, yeah, that might impact your health. So my question is to people who've been pushing back against what we've been saying about this is, who do you believe? Do you believe politicians when they say, oh, it's fine, illegal drug use around you? Totally fine. Do you believe King County Public Health that pushed all sorts of wild stuff? Do you believe the entity that during the pandemic told people that they could continue to have sex with strangers as long as they did it through a shower curtain and cut a glory hole in it? Do you believe that entity when it comes to what is and is not safe for you? Or do you believe the researchers at the University of Washington who actually conducted the analysis? Or do you believe the bus drivers who sit on those buses, who sit on those trains for 8 hours a day, sometimes longer, who have personally experienced negative health impacts from breathing in the smoke of these illicit drugs? I know who I believe, and I know what common sense tells me. And one has to wonder and one has to question what the motivations are of politicians, of government bureaucrats, to try to convince you that it's okay to be around illegal drug use. I want you to genuinely ask yourself that. What would their motivations be for trying to push a narrative to you and to us that is so blatantly false? It's truly, truly unbelievable.